Dear Dhamma friends, welcome everyone for the afternoon session. Today we have a question and answer session. There are written questions while we are dealing with that. Anyone needs any other to raise some questions or remarks, it's welcome. Swamin answer, we have a request. Some of us female yogis are keen to develop our practice under your guidance in the more monastic environment in terms of rules, no electricity, etc. Do you plan to make? Yatiyantara project is a center according to the forest tradition. Countries like Thailand, Burma already have these kinds of possibilities for female. We humbly request that you establish a more strict one under your Kammatthana guidance. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, we have not come up to any kind of stratification or measurements regarding Yatiyantara. This is the first baby. First we have to see whether boy or a girl. And then we'll see the future. So we are inviting everyone to go there and see. And some other, just the sake of, for the sake of understanding, the Dhammayatana it's a walking distance from here, 20 minutes walking. And that Karaka Sabha also came and invited me to take care about the center and run a center. Then I told, no, this enough for me. We are expanding too much. So therefore, I will conduct a retreat only. That means in September. September we have, first part we have a retreat in Paramita Center in Kadugannawa. It has been now changed the shape. Tara Dimil going to take the opportunity and we will be doing. That's been in English medium. After finishing, I told that they can take 7 days and start a retreat, but under the strict condition, the committee members must meditate. Because these committee members are advising others and helping others, they never meditate. So then told, including Pandita Ratna, that the founder, they are not practicing and they are asking why the monks are not remaining, why the things are not happening, when the center is not alive. Then I told, you have to meditate. So that is possibility. So we can amalgamate that center and here. And the Yatiyantara also is a completely fresh one. But the thing is, for that there's no the organizing body. For the moment, Viduran himself is taking all the responsibilities, and then I thought of running it under a board of trustees rather than a board of the Dayaka Sabha in order to test it. So now it is happening. So rather than interpreting terms that we are going to have a strict or not, it must be pragmatic. That's all I am telling, that we will open it and run, and that will be I asked Heshan also to come on Friday. So he is the person who drew the plan, and the basic how to call this facilities like dining hall and the kind of thing will be in the beginning of the center, and behind that there may be 2 villages, one for male and one for female, and the facilities are common. So that is what the concept we have. So we will run it and see. But the thing is that females are fighting too much. It is a very, very common character. So you all have to tighten your belts, not the electricity, not the strictness of the regulations, that make it free. Wherever go, try to take the possession and controlling and kind of thing. I am coming a family from, I have 6 sisters. Nothing to worry, only 4 boys. And it's a big, and I have trained in the mixed school, and we have no discrimination about the sex. We are fighting and all the kind of with the girls. So I am not doing, but I am telling, make use the opportunity rather than making so much of fuss. So therefore the situations are there, but everyone is alarming me. I am going to go to a danger area by going to establishing a center for females. So I need your support rather than you need my support. So we went to Venerable Premasiri and he told, you have the capacity, but mind you, you are asking for trouble. So anyway, he asked us, all the committee members, to go there and have a retreat. And we had a very good foundation, but that situation has been really changed. But it is progressing, and they are really criticizing me that I am negligent, I am not going there, I am not looking after that kind of thing. So, but anyway, due to that, thanks to Viduruwan, is earning at a rate in the morning time, and each evening go back to Atiyantota and invest in like anything. So now we have something we can see. So in future, the structure regarding the administration and the structure regarding the yogis, I think some of you all has to get together and prepare some kind of a open thing, thinking about the newcomers. Don't try to impose unwanted rules, and don't make it so relaxed so that psychopaths will come and sit. That both must be guarded. That has some kind of a pragmatic meaning. And for that, don't try to impose so much of rules. So, it's my ideology. So therefore, it is basically for the Atiyantata, I need some mature, experienced yoginis to draw the constitution and kind of thing.
At Pandita Ramabanti, I don't know how it's managed, but they open it up, as you know, for both beginners and experienced yogis, and it's really the energy of the dedicated nuns who actually do the administration. They push beginners. Like, I know, for an example, when I've gone there, the first day you would feel quite jet-lagged and you would want to sort of relax, but then you see the dedication and the energy there, and it works like clockwork. Maybe there is dissent which we don't see, but I don't know how the administration happens there. It seems that the strength of the organization is because it's more sort of the monastics who are actually doing the administration, so they have that balanced approach, not so much a board of trustees as such. I don't know if I'm making sense.
At the beginning, we forewarned that when it is functioning, only 4 out of us. And we came up and more than 50% of the construction went on. And then they put up the administrative plan. I also was there. Next day I left the Banditaram. I came here. And then now I think the Saddhamma Foundation, together with Panditarama, they are running. But Sayadaw is really closely monitoring it. And after 40 years of experience, only Sayadaw he was drawing it, and therefore it is a kind of ideal situation or role model for someone to see. And but Sayadaw is a person going maximum facilities. That is one of the principles when you are practicing. The maximum facilities must be there. No monastic or kind of a roughing out. No modification, no rough out. So best food, any material going to purchase. He said, this is for the sasana, don't compromise. Bring the best. And it must be running for 50 years. So people were coming and criticizing. So I was not asking any money from people. He ordered everything from the Singapore, directly from the ship, fix it. The one door, sliding door was 1 lakh at that time. And it was 32 doors if necessary. It was a Panditarama, one was broken on the way. While transporting, he says, nothing to worry, I ordered one additional. Everything, those must be when you are pushing, no sounds. The thickness is about 1/2 an inch. The sliding doors, glass. So that is the way he is doing. Anyway, it is giving a good example for someone to see administration, the meditation, the vibration, everything is there.
Do you have an organization or a foundation in the United States? No.
Yesterday I got an email. They said that the people are going to fix one in Florida because there's one lady, she is fixing one center in each province or the state. But Florida there is one temple. So last time when I go there, she came for the retreat and she told, even though I am sponsoring for the center, you are the only person doing the task. So therefore, if you are going to take initiative, I will sponsor for a meditation center. Then I told, I am not going to have any property, any organization, no commitment. And then she told, if it is not impossible. I told, as a monk, I am not going to take. But now Sunil Amitirikala, he is the one going to take. He has agreed, myself, Bhante Gunaratana and Bhikkhu Bodhi will be in the board. And that lady will be sponsoring for the center. And then onward, it will be open for any person, those who are practicing Satipatthana. So I told, I can't promise that I am be there or I am going to send someone, keep it open. Because that Udara was again and again telling, if you can have an organization in America, very easy to have all the other transactions and all the publications and all the this thing, because it's a good organized center, organized country to have it. So I had my hesitation because this has to be first and foremost established and completed. Otherwise people thinking that I am too much in expansion. And there is no the following up the administration, so therefore it has to go slow. I don't like to you people in white cloth more. To go into yellow robes and help me. You will all try to swim being in the upland. Never get down into the water. So then how can I plan? Get down into the water, engage yourself, and then the most necessary resource will come into being. Others are at the corner now. Everyone is happening. But the human resource, I am not concerned about the institute and kind of thing. I am only concerned about the human resource. If someone is being trained as a lay or male, ordained or not, that definitely going to take the burden of the sansara, of the sasana. The Dhamma will take care about. Next one, Venerable Bhante, during your talk last night you mentioned that as you penetrate into the object, you open up all 6 sense doors. How is this possible if your mind is still fixed on the awareness and the unfolding of events as you penetrate into the object? So this can explain in 2 ways. By penetrating into one, how can you be aware of the everything? One thing is, with the help of chaos theory, it says one in everything and everything in one. One in all and all in one. So therefore, if you know one, because everything happening in the same model, that's a holographic theory, if you know one part and partial completely, that indicates the whole universe. So therefore, if you are penetrating into the one object, that you understand the mechanism, the formula, how this particular thing happens, that we call the direct touch, direct knowledge, and then the deductive knowledge, the inferential knowledge is naturally happening. It is nothing to do, whenever you make sure, touch it and get the thorough understanding of one thing, the deductive knowledge is going to give you the comparative understanding about the other thing. So therefore that is something, according to the theory of Dhamma. And the second thing is, as I mentioned, that if you stretch your hand, there are 5 terminals of the fingers. So if you can be at one of the fingers, that indicates you are forgetting about the other 4. So that means selecting one is rejecting 4, this example. But at the beginning, once you selected this one and go backward and here, then again you come to a common center, where now the accessibility of everything is there, but still you are asked to not to go this way, go along the same vein, go down, and when you come here, come up to the middle, the bunch, that represents everything. So therefore more and more you go to the superficial level, to the deep, and when you come up to this level, that indicates it is tackling on principles all the 5. So therefore in 2 ways, when you are specializing one thing, you understand everything. That is what I mentioned, that by 10, that email, it says even an atom or solar system or the Milky Way, the galaxy, everything the same pattern. So therefore if you go deep into one atom and understand exactly the same pattern happening in the solar system happening in the galaxy. So therefore, thorough on one, and that indicates the general understanding and explaining the other things also. So therefore, at the beginning it is a kind of difficulty some to understand it. Therefore, if someone is rationalizing and thinking and without going into, it's a different issue. But if someone with the belief, this is going to work and going to penetrate into that, they are the one going to get the proper benefits of that. So that is why the Buddha says, when someone is stuck with the poisonous arrow, if that particular person is going to ask, before knowing what is the kind of poison, what is the person who sent it from which direction and kind of thing, you should not touch the arrow. You must not listen to that kind of remarks. You have to shut his mouth and remove the arrow first, and then both the parties will be benefited. Likewise, at the beginning, you may not be rationalizing, you will not be really understand how by penetrating one, you are going to have a understanding about the total. So that is the principle wise it says, everything in one and one in everything. Or that principle, penetrating one is the only way. If you are going outwardly, that is what we call the present day science and the normal worldly knowledge. They never go to a comprehension, because it is scattering off. So the Buddha is telling, go penetrate in one.
Bhante, is it like you go to a maximum point by penetrating the object and automatically it's a letting go process? Yeah.
So that as far as for elements, the materiality is concerned, whatever way it may be, when you go there, it is 4 elements, whether internal or external, whether eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, everywhere the 4 elements. And then the feeling, perception and kind of things also, for all the beings, exactly the same faculties. Different people have different value systems and their upbringings, but general framework is the same. And the similarities are much, much, much more than disparities. Disparities considered less than 0.2%. Similarities are 98%, 98 points. Or 98 points, 8 points or something. So therefore, by penetrating these disparities, if you go in deep, then you see the universal unconscious. When you go there, these questions never arise. You have so much of opening your doors and windows to understand other feelings, other suffering, and how much we can share by mere understanding each other, sympathizing each other, rather than material. Venerable Sir, I feel the beginning of the in-breath is the touch point in the nose, the middle further up in the nose, and as if in end at the top of my head. If something wrong. So this indicates the point of observation is shifting. That is not advisable. You have to take the example of the doorkeeper, the security at the door. You must be at the door, monitor the incoming and outgoing vehicles. You must not go with the vehicle inside. You must not go with the vehicle outside. If it is so, the door becomes vulnerable. So therefore, you must be at the door, so whenever happening. So Venerable Jnanarama gave a kind of the compromise. He says in the in-breath and out-breath is changing, for example. This says in-breath, beginning to middle and end. So exactly the same, if the in-breath and out-breath is changing from here to here, or going here and there, he says at the beginning, focus a common place, a big spot. It's something like the big area. And let the mind to confine to that area. And while practicing, you start tightening belts and the screws and nuts. Slowly, you can reduce into almost 1 point. So therefore, at the beginning, if it is running, have a common area at the beginning, still knowing that is too slack. When and where the meditation advance, you must reduce into as much as possible to one-pointedness or reduce, otherwise mind will never implant, mind will never get rooted in one place. So that the implanting or not implanting, the planting, rooting must be promoted. Venerable Madhya, wouldn't it be difficult for a volition or feeling-oriented person to progress in practice? No. This understanding is not a difficulty. Understanding is a promotion for the practice. The practice is common for everyone, but for any person with a feeling or volition or the perception, generally the practice is difficult. There is no particular character type. You can say the main teaching is aimed for that kind of. There is no such. Wouldn't a volitional and willful person lack patience and the endurance, and a feeling-based person be too sensitive to a practice which only meet with the disappointments? The other person has the perception, so he or she always try to label it and ultimately get adhere to the labels and lose the primary object. That is what happens. So all the three types have their own due disadvantages as well as advantages. Dear Venerable, we often use the momentary concentration of Kanika Samadhi. People say that this word is not in the canon but only in the Atthakatha and Visuddhimagga. Is it correct? And how is the word Kanika Samadhi come into existence? I think that it's a commentarial. There is no categorically Khanamat Tattetika Samadhi, Kanika Samadhi. These are the term commentary came into being. In canon you find generally Samadhi. So when you go into detail of the branches only, the canon keep on coining words. So therefore this is fairly I think the acceptable, correct observation. This is happening at the Atthakatha and in the Visuddhimagga. Is it correct that often lay person attempts attaining arahantship, she or he only have two choices: pass away within 7 days or enter bhikkhu or bhikkhu sangha? Could you explain what is the cause? This is also a kind of commentarial this thing, because when the King Suddhodana also attained arahanthood and within few days he passed away. And Santati Amati, the minister called Santati, also attained arahanthood as a layperson and immediately passed away. And Bahya Daruchiri also attained arahanthood as a layperson, immediately passed away. Therefore the commentator says, after attaining arahanthood, they are contemplating about how much the lifespan they have in future. If there are enough thing to organize, they will enter into the order. If it is not sure, if it is less than 7 days or something like that, they won't go, that they will pass away or go for the great parinibbana as a lay person. But it is not confirmed, or it is not something a fact in the commentary, just like the Kanika Samadhi. Please explain the relationship between the compassion and hate, loving kindness and the affection, upekkhaya and ignorance. It is very strange. The compassion, loving kindness and upekkhaya all are happening in the worldly sense, and often can happen as a result of or in the sphere of samatha. They are coming under the unlimited appamanya or brahma vihara. So when they happen, now as we see each and every 7 stages of purification, each stage have the advantages and disadvantages. The compassion is whenever someone in need or medical help or something like that, the other person feel it. Anukampa is the best term. Kampa is someone is at unrest, and according to the second person feel, this particular person is at a necessity, so other person feel the anukampa, according to the kampa, that is what the compassion means. So then he will be moved to take care about that. So when and where he find it is difficult to attain, difficult to give the due support or due medicine or due solace, after a certain limit, if he has no vipassana understanding, he or she, the second person who is moved by the compassion, changing the compassion into the hate, either he will be self-cursing or he will be fighting with the person who is preventing the support, or he will be mere killing the person who is in suffering. That is euthanasia. Because they can't move, they can't look at it. Utter endless suffering. So you help as much as possible. When something is appear uncontrollable, they sometimes go into the sphere to finish it on. So I don't know whether you have heard about Henry Van Zyst. He was the first Dutch person. At the beginning he was a Baptist priest. Directly from the priesthood he became a monk. And it was a big issue at that time, and he became a helper in the encyclopedia also. And later, of course, disrobed. So he used to come into the discussion when we were in Nilambe, very elderly person and learned. He says he has a very Volkswagen car. So one day he went to Kandy, and there he was about to park the car in front of the Queen's Hotel, and then the pigeon fallen down, and now it's really agony in the same place, fighting, now it's sinking. There is no. So he can't look at it, he drives the car to kill the fellow. And he said, don't ask me why I am doing and how it did, I did it. I can't observe because it is in such an agony and definitely going to die. I wanted to finish the task. So that also appears like compassion. So that is why the commentator says, at a limit, after a certain limit, compassion will be shifted into the hate. And then you are no more such an angel. You will be going there, but it is not under your control. And the loving kindness is always giving the affection or kind of a love, kind of a lustful love. And then you are danger. So therefore when you are radiating loving kindness, you must never a female must never radiate loving kindness to the males. Males must never radiate loving kindness to female at the beginning. After a certain amount of maturity and defense, then only it can go into that. So therefore loving kindness as the close enemy is the hate, but at the far, the love itself waiting. So if you get trapped into that, it's also becoming a negative. And when the upekka happens, sometimes you make it as an excuse, as an escapism, upekka. So that means you are either falling into sleep or ignorance can take place. Because your alertness is not there, you say, I don't care. Like. But anyway, what you are doing is escaping. So under such circumstances, the ignorance can appear like perverted form of upekka. Hate is appearing like a perverted form of compassion, and lustful love appear like a perverted form of the loving kindness.
Venerable Bhante, then can one say that compassion is centered from the self and radiating outside?
All these three. As far as samatha is concerned, all these three have the self-centered, so self can tolerate a certain limit, that means within the comfort zone. Whenever you go beyond the comfort zone, you don't know what is happening. They have the traps waiting outside the comfort zone. Within the comfort zone you can preach, you can profess, you can be a role model and all. When and where it is going beyond the comfort zone, it twists. And then onward, it will be completely opposite. You will be caught up into the completely opposite.
Bhante, so what would the Buddhist position be on do not resuscitate rules and pulling the plug for terminal diseases?
No, they say let the karma to work, let the natural course to happen, rather than make a volition.
If somebody's under medical care and being life supported, that's not natural cause right there. They're not going to be able to do natural cause. So volition, if they say pull the plug, either way, you're caught. So what would be the position?
So that if the particular person subjected to the situation has the last will, it is his will, that he can draw last will to the court. If I am going to go to the vegetable situation, don't leave me like that. But if you are the almost close relative, the responsibility upon you, or otherwise the doctor has to do. So who is talking now? Patient, not the patient. The person close by, maybe an attendant, maybe a close relative, or you may be the person paying the bill. That is the person. That the decision is not driven by compassion. It's a monetary decision. It's a political decision. So it has to go to the court. So therefore, that if you are in such a position, withdraw yourself and let that someone has decided to go for the life support or whatever may be. If you are the person, you have to understand you have taken a wrong decision previously. Even now, at any moment you are going to terminate it, that is fulfilling the killing. And then onward, it will be the commitment. So therefore it is very difficult for the second person to judge it. And unless otherwise we can have a real life experience. Now, if I am to question you, you are talking or speaking like whom? You are a patient, or you are the close relative, or you are the person giving the money, or you are the doctor. Who are you?
Okay, so let me be the patient now.
So patient, now onward you have to go to the court and say, when I have come to that, finish it.
Okay, now I'm the relative taking care of it.
No, at the patient's level, you can't raise the question, you are denied.
Okay, I'm taking care of the patient.
So
I'm a relative taking care of it.
You are not taking care of patient, you are taking care of money.
Okay.
So then, it's a economical decision, not related to the spirituality or the religious. No compassion, no religious, it is the money. So these questions are only questions for America and Holland, not in Sri Lanka. You met, you will be. So how do you know whether the father will going to meet with an accident and die on the road?
So my father, when he goes to hospital and we have to make the decision. He don't want to be a vegetable.
He wished you to take the decision. So that is his last will. And he can't decide that you must be right at the bedside. He has no that ability to tell.
This doesn't have to be an economical or a financial situation. For example, Medicare, Medi-Cal, all of that will take care of expenses, hospital expenses. But the doctors will come up to the next of kin and ask, what do you want to have done? So now, it's not an economic, financial decision. And they come to the next of kin.
So then the best thing is to withdraw yourself. Let the doctor to decide or second person to decide. And in Holland, there's a book, one I have read in the euthanasia. And says there's one doctor in Holland, he will take this kind of a situation for a high rate. Instead of the relative, I know he go and take the decision. It's been called as Dr. Death. And it's very expensive. He's taking out all the provinces. If we have such a problem, give me the case, but I charge this much. He's not asking the close by relatives or the patients or kind of thing. He unplug it. It's called Dr. Death. But he has to, at the beginning to be doctor, he has to sign first, do no harm. That is being violated. That is being violated.
Okay, may I pursue this just a little bit further? We have Dr. Kevorkian. As you will recall, the States had Dr. Kevorkian. Right. He was, I guess, the original Dr. Death. But these were terminal patients that were dying. And instead of having to just sit there, lay there in bed and wither and in pain and all that, he provided another alternative for them, which was a reasonable way to die and get it over with, as opposed to running up medical bills and just suffering. What would that, from both ends, from the patient end, what would the Buddhist position be? And obviously, I think I know which it would be from the Kevorkian end. I mean, he's killing. But from the patient end. Okay, I mean, in both cases, you're showing mercy or compassion.
That the patient's situation is concerned, they say some of the provinces, some states of the America, it says, when the heart is not functioning, patient is dead. Some other states says, when the brain is not working, patient is dead. Their interpretation of the life, their interpretation of the death is a jurisdictional decision, not biological. So therefore you have to do according to the state you are living. And the decision also like that. So therefore, these things we can't arrive at a black and white decision. We can just discuss. So best thing is before that get enlightened yourself.
I agree. But no, some of these situations were as follows. Suppose the person had terminal cancer.
Yeah.
And they just had a little while to live. Or the person had, let's just work with terminal cancer, and they just going to be dead in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So it was as opposed to, because medicine is really in the business nowadays of just keeping people alive, not really fixing them, and then charging a bill. So it doesn't, I mean, there is a logic to all of this that says, okay, let me die, okay, and then the bill is minimal. And just let me get out with a minimum amount of pain, minimum amount of expense. And the person is still alive, heart and brain, but they're dying. You're going to be dead in 2 weeks.
That's a committing suicide. With the help of another person.
Okay, but isn't that also a form of compassion?
No, it is not it is not without quoting into the rules and laws, he get it done. This compassion is not involved in that case. Because I am deciding about myself, my last will. So that is, from the beginning it was there in the United States, but I think we are in the transitional period. In future, it will be a condition for the person before going to the hospital to sign a clause, if I am going to be a vegetable, what I am going to do. The pharmaceutical industry will come out with a nice statement, nice clause. They know how to make out of that money. So therefore, it is none of our business.
Venerable Sir, part of that question involved Upekha and how Upekha perverts. Could you please give some example for me to understand better, or for us to understand better what Upekha can convert into?
The Upekha, there are 10 kinds of Upekhas. And Vipassana Upekha, Sankara Upekha is the top class. But you have Brahmachari Upekha, the faculty-based Upekha, all the kind of thing. And Upekha has the wisdom-based one and the ignorant-based one. When the ignorant-based happen, you always say, I am not interested in. You withdraw. And ultimately you become callous. And you will be finding a reason to not to get involved. Just like a sick animal. They don't want to eat or play or go into the corner and just like. That kind of thing happen in the meditation also. Sometimes you feel like not doing any kind of thing. It appear like reducing of sankhara like, but it is not reducing of sankhara, it's escapism. Reducing of sankhara is something you have to do with a very vigilant and diligent and be aware and going down. But sometimes that, for example, when you reducing the strength and the subtlety, increasing the subtlety of the breath, at a moment you have to be very sharp and observe it happens. Instead you can fall into sleep. Fall into sleep is, the ajnana upekha. Upekha based upon the ignorance. And he would say, beyond that I can't go there because you don't have enough energy. But what the scriptures say, or what the best for you is to be alert, be aware, be awakening into the situation, then also you get kind of upekkha. That is based upon the virya, sati, samadhi. And lucidity. It's a lucid dream like. But the other upekkha is very thick, very slimy, very congealing, and you are escaping. Callousness happens. So that is, I think callous, you become callous in the sick kind of upekkha.
Bhante, especially in the Mahayana tradition, I know, there's the compassionate Bodhisattva, who, I remember the one story is, gives himself over to the tiger so that the cubs can live. I think that there's similar, I could be wrong, but I think there's similar stories in the Theravada tradition. So essentially, this is compassion, okay, which is it's being called compassion. But one is intentionally giving up their life. Okay, so there's a contradiction there in terms of what we just spoke about. Suicide versus compassion. What's your take on these?
So the other person, the person sacrificing, is not threatened by a disease, nothing. It is merely due to the situation of the other person. He give his flesh, or whatever may be, but here the life is being threatened. So you can't arrive at such a healthy decision, it's a pressure. So therefore such a person has to take some decision that we can't say it is really healthy, wisdom based or not, because he is under the emotion. So under such circumstances, but if you are taking such a decision before you fall into sickness as a last will, that is much more profound than a person fallen into sick and ultimately drawing a decision as if there is no other way out. And in the Mahayana also, that the Bodhisattva concept happened, it says, if there are 10 persons at the threat of the life, if you can save that 10% by killing 5%, it is okay. That is the way the Mahayana interpret it. But the Theravada tradition don't take even that kind of a situation. If you can save 100 people by killing few number of people, that killing is justifiable. There is some under some circumstances. Justifiable. Yeah, that kind of a justifiable. But I doubt whether really they are talking based on the compassion, no other issues. If it is on the compassion, decision is not necessary. Emotionally you know what to do. Because you will be urged to do, that is anukampa. Anukampa means there is no knowledge necessary, there is no decision necessary. You know what to do when the situation happens. So we are discussing before the situation happens, no unrelevant things, so very difficult to arrive at a final decision.
May I? There is a macro level also involved in euthanasia. Now, unlike any other times, over the past 20-30 years, the medical treatment has developed to such an extent that people's life could be, patients' life could be extended beyond almost dying level to vegetable state. So, now, why I said macro level is, now, because of that, doctors should know, that's why I think Bhante said it is not a problem in these parts. Now, in our countries, doctors would know, okay, no point in taking it further, and he will take a medical decision. Okay, he will tell the patient's close relatives, okay, take the patient home. Something like that. But I think in the more developed, within brackets, countries, what they do is they will try to extend the life as such as long as possible using these kind of interventions. So that is the macro side.
That's exactly the issue I'd like us to talk about, because medical science can do just exactly that. It can extend a terminally ill person's life, for years. So the logical, reasonable, compassionate thing to do is to say, pull the plug, without even from the patient's end of it or the other person's end of it, without being accused of murder or suicide. Because if it was not because of the intervention of medical science to just extend the life without curing it, the person would have been dead anyway. Do you see what my logic is? Can you comment on that?
That is happening due to the natural factors. The compassion can come and all the thing happen. The individual touch, the feelings can work. So if such a thing happen, whether we decide it now here or not, it is immaterial. The situation will decide circumstantially what to do. What is for us to decide now? We give the full chance for the situation to happen. I mean, that is more natural, more human. Rather than we arrive at this is a compassion, this is not compassion, this must do, this must not do. I mean, that we are no basic data. We have to be feasibility study further, rather than reaching to an inference.
I think I understood something maybe not clear. You say in the Mahayana tradition, it said to save 10, it's okay to kill 5.
Right, yeah.
And what is in the Theravada? What was this?
What is it?
In Theravada is, you said, what does the Theravada?
No, Theravada is not going to take that kind of a thing as a compassion, no kind of thing. It says killing is killing. Yeah.
In Mahayana, it would be okay to kill Adolf Hitler to save all the millions, right? In Mahayana, it would be okay to kill Adolf Hitler.
It is not the basic mainstream Mahayana. There are some people, there are some sects prescribing this kind of thing. Like samurais and kind of thing. This is happening.
Thank you.
He never say compassion. He says, this is what I did. Don't ask me why. He can't look at it because that is for his compassion to himself, not only the pigeon. Yes. Yeah, that is, any action you can say that we can do without selfishness in this world. Anything we do, self-interest. We are trying to facelift intelligence. This is a compassionate, this is loving kindness, this is sympathetic joy, this is equanimity. Ultimately, everything coming out of ego. That is why this question arising. Even the compassion, even the loving kind, there's the strand connecting you. That you justify as far as it is promoting you. It is the giving kind of a kick, thrill, or self-boosting. The Buddha says, Uchinda sene mattano, usukara, the kumudan sadikama panina. Remove the flower from the mud. Go to the mud and remove the flower, just like you remove your love to yourself. Whole thing we are doing is due to a kind of a justification, kind of a self re-establishment. Without that, no action. But the samatha actions like metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha, you have the ethical value. What is the consequence to the others? The compassion, loving kindness, sympathetic joy and the equanimity. But when you go high up in the vipassana, it says as far as you are living here, suffering is unavoidable. Whatever you do is something representing your ego.
So Bhante, is it correct to say that until you're Sotapanna, there is no sense of an ego of self, until then there is no real compassion?
No, even after the Sotapanna also you are still vulnerable. Because Rupa Raga, Arupa Raga is going up to the Arahanthood, up to the Anagami level. And at the Arahanthood only Rupa Raga. This is mere Raga is removed. So the desire is there. Even the Sakkaya Ditthi is cut off. Other Ditthis are there. The branches are there. So therefore Buddha says, until you come to the Arahantship, don't compromise. That is the basic theme in the Rathavinitha Sutta. The halfway if you are going to stop, that means consequences, disadvantages are there.
Bhante, let's take a situation which is really very prevalent and that is in cosmopolitan, or just in villages or towns or cities, whatever. There's a lot of just like rats and cockroaches and disease-ridden animals.
Yeah.
Which if you let them just simply go ahead and go about and do what they want to do, you spread disease within your community. Okay, so, I know I've read commentaries before in which it says, well, this is a difficult problem for the bhikkhu to deal with. And then they be quiet. They don't say anything. Because they know what has to happen. Basically, you have to exterminate to keep health standards up. Okay, so, and it's more than just standards, but otherwise other people die. So, here's an example of killing as a means of compassion for others, in my mind. Would you comment on that?
Yeah, I will give one example happened for the bhikkhu. He was a traitor, king caught up him, and now is about to dehead. There was one monk, he's a traitor, Rajadrohi, and the king cornered him and told, you are the one did it, so now I have to dehead you. Capital punishment. Deheading. Oh, then the monk told, that's okay. That's your decision. But I simply know my conscience, I have not done it. That's such a kind of a mistake, that is a coup against the king. So then ultimately the king told, that don't work. And you are that I am going to make a decision. He says, he showed his finger, and it's a rotten, and so much of swelling happens, and I don't know the disease that the nail is eating into. It's very painful. Niyapirittav. And he told king is very friendly with him. You can see this? Yes. If I can apply some medicine, I believe there's a worm inside, that worm will die. I am not applying medicine. I am suffering. Because I am concerned about even killing the worm. There is no worm, but in the Ayurveda medicine we call a worm. So therefore, this is the way I am observing my precepts. But I am telling you, I have not committed. If you wish to take your decision, your karmic force will decide you. So ultimately, king withdraw the decision. So last time when I was in Germany, and I told in this thing that if I happen to keep some water outside in my kuti, 3 days time I can see mosquito larva. It's a hell of a problem. So now I have to take care, they will not die. So I have to strain it and give it to Upasako. I have to bring it to the water pond and empty it so that the larva will not die. Otherwise it is my commitment, because I keep water exposed. So when I am explaining that German lady went very badly, she says, you are promoting the ladies in malaria, not the malaria, dengue. You are promoting dengue, that is something you are doing wrong. Then I told, this is even the malaria, dengue, whatever may be. If you are going to decide, you have no right to kill any person. But some person killing, it is none of your business. Killing people will be there. So therefore, one thing you have to understand, you cannot be 100% virtuous in this world. That is why Buddha says, escape from this world, there is no wholesome life. Relatively you can be better, but there is no complete wholesome. So that is why the Nibbana is the alternative. And killing is the one way. So sometimes it is happening, whether you knowingly or unknowingly, that you have to sympathize. It's a matter of volition, the will. If you have the volition, it's a 1/5 of the crime. If the volition is there, animal is living, you have a methodology to kill it, and you kill it, or you implement it, and you see animal is dying. That five factors are fulfilled, according to karma and karma results. Five limbs for the crime, for killing to take place. So whether it is an animal or Buddha or worm or whatever may be, no problem. But if it is killing but minute tiny animals, it says less amount of gravity. But if you are going to kill virtuous person, big animals, the gravity is very heavy.
Venerable Sir, could you give us some advice on how to prevent compassion or loving kindness or upekkha from perverting? And if we do have perverted, then how do we rid ourselves of the perversions?
The question for the first part is, you must practice metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha for utility, not for the sake of practicing.
Can you elaborate, please?
So, if you have as far as the 4 guardian meditation, metta comes, if you have so much of the hatred in your practice, everyone coughing, you become angry. Whenever the door is slamming, you are angry. So that kind of understanding, you can't do anapanasati because sounds. Others are happily meditating, you can't, then you understand you have special irritation, that is hatred. So instead of going for anapanasati, you have to do little metta. So there you know the disease, you know the medicine. Whenever they are fulfill the task, you have to finish the metta and go back to anapana. The compassion, also it is that if the other person is in necessity and if he come and ask, please help, you have no right to withdraw if you have the facilities. But if you are going to make compassion without his request and you are imposing, it is called vested interest, worst. That means that you are imposing. The mudita also the same. Mudita is that sympathetic joy, and when the other party is really happy and they are there, you are just make it happy that they need not my help, so why not? The upekkha also, it is best explained that the mother with the child, at the beginning the mother has to be metta, loving kindness. When the child becomes sick, karuna. When the child find a fiancé, upekkha, the mudita. And when they married and gone away from the parents, upekkha.
Okay, Bhante. I'm not going to take this to the war situation, like the Buddhist puts a perception on a war. But I'll give an example, say, for a person's walking down a street, and this is not fantasy. I mean, these things happen. And somebody attacks them with
the person.
Yeah, the person. That person's Buddhist. And it becomes obvious that either you do damage to that person or that person does damage to you, or that person's going to kill you.
You are walking and someone attacking you.
Right. And this does happen. Now, if you let that person kill you, you are just as guilty of suicide. It's a form of suicide. Maybe not conceived on your own, but by omission of behavior or conduct on your part, as if you were to kill that person. One could take that off to the case of war if you are attacked. Okay, I mean, by doing nothing, that's worse or as bad as perpetrating. Well, it's probably worse than even perpetrating the murder or the killing. What is the Buddhist take on? What is your position on that?
Have I understood that you are just a pedestrian, someone come and attacking you?
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, if it is so, the police is there.
The police are not there. Not in
LA. You have to go to the police. I mean, that is, you have to go to the police, that's all.
No, it's not possible.
Why
not in a metropolitan area. That's not possible. Let's take Los Angeles, California, for example.
Yeah.
I think they've got something like, okay, the numbers are wrong. But it's something, I want to say 7,000 police officers to cover the entire county area.
So you ring 119.
Okay. Hold that gun right there. Yeah. Let me call 911. Hello, I'm being attacked right now. Yes. Oh, please help me. In the meantime, he's shooting me.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you are going to do, will that the Constitution going to protect you?
Will what protect me?
Yeah.
What?
That under such circumstances, you have to ask the establishment lawmakers and the police to come and act. Or can you implement your own this thing?
Yeah, so if you can implement your own self-defense, you need to take care of yourself.
According to American Constitution, a person has a right to defend himself even if to kill someone.
Yeah, it is American law, not the compassion, not the Buddhism.
Okay, so the Buddhist law is what?
No, Buddhist law, it that says they are in a civilized place, there is a body to maintain the civil law. That you have to go and report.
You can't report when you're being shot.
Yeah, being killed.
You're being in the process of being killed, right? You can't report.
Under such circumstances, what is your proposal?
To defend yourself.
That is called body knowledge. It is not you. Body will do.
That's called what?
Body knowledge.
Right.
That would do.
That will do.
I mean, it has its own defense system.
Right.
So it is not compassion, it is the natural selection. That whatever thing happen when you put the fire in the hand into the fire, the coming back, withdrawal is not your decision. Yeah. It's a defense system, it's a natural defense. It's called body knowledge.
So you're saying Buddhism has no comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, comment is there, let the body to take care about in the such circumstances that how one can figure it out, say this to do and that not to do, because circumstances are very, very volatile and changing. Of course, there is, I think, not such a detailed analysis or treatment from the Buddhist perspective.
Okay, I just want to draw a distinction between theory and reality. Okay, and I mean, I'm aware of what you're saying, but in reality, frequently, one's not in a position to do that. So that's right. I mean, agreed. Yeah. So, okay, thank you. I'll just stop here.
Can I just say something? I actually have been shot some time back by an unknown person with one of those, I don't know, not a proper gun, but one of the guns. And then I spoke to a monk about it. He said, just don't delve into that. Yeah, it could be a karmic act that has come from a previous life. I mean, the bullet went in here and then I had to squeeze it out. I was in shock because after that I couldn't walk out in the night and all that. This happened when I was out of the country. But what he said, the explanation, I think later on it struck me that maybe I have done this to another person. All these things most of the time happen due to the karmic things that we have done. I think it doesn't mostly. It
is 25% of the event. Yeah. You can't say the complete. So everything you can't say. If it is so, it is niyatagatika. So karmic forces also happen, but according to the same way our discussion is going on, best thing is whatever the situation is compelling, you must not create a new karma. That is the only defense you have to take care. Or if it is going to happen, do the least. That's all that mindfulness is. That is all the vigilance is going to say. So you are moved by the natural selection, body knowledge, and all the kind of thing. And over there the things are happening by its momentum. So if you have any kind of saving, you must understand it may be due to the past karma, or maybe due to his kind of situation or my kind of situation. How can I do the least amount of damage, or to create least amount of volitional action? So for that, how much of training we need? Otherwise, things happen in the emotional way. Things happen in the beastly way. So very difficult to arrive at a decision in such a situation. So you have to understand life is such. The samsara is such. So therefore, even the Buddha was being assaulted. So he never committed that kind of thing. Of course, he has his own merits, the powers, but we in Citizen Jones, when we are going there, we have to understand whatever may be the people going to have, the karma and karma theory will answer, but I have to take care about the volitional I am employing. That must be to do the least amount of damage. Yeah, not doing nothing you can't say. If it is so, you have to be arahant. Things happen, but you have to take care to do the least damage, the least involvement, least commitment.
Bhante, also about this euthanasia thing, it's like you're interfering in another person's karma. If you start thinking in Dhamma, you don't get involved in that.
You don't have executive powers. No one has given it. Unless the patient give, you are my close relative. you take a decision. Or if the patient going to have, so therefore, don't get involved even before or while it happening. So the sansara is such a thing, it's a trap. Whatever you are going to do, some kind of volitional action is going to happen, try to reduce as much as possible. You can't do away with that. You can't escape 100%.
So perfection is not required.
Profession.
Perfection is not required.
No, in this world, impossible.
Okay.
Parinibbana is the perfect thing, that onward you are no more.
Now, in a related topic, not exactly about people killing each other and that type of thing, or cockroaches killing cockroaches and that. I had a discussion years ago with the Venerable Rathavinitha, and it was about eating meat. And I says, well, if somebody comes and brings you, during alms meat, I says, and you eat that, then you're actually participating in killing. He says, no, I did not kill the person, that animal. I said, okay, but suppose that one is not vegetarian, and they're going to the store and buying meat. They are indirectly killing that animal. I believe his comment was, it was the 5 factors of killing that he brought up. But is not that still a form of killing in which, you're providing a marketplace, you're providing a demand, okay? And there needs to be a supply, just basic economics. Without the demand, there won't be any beef out there to eat. So isn't that really perhaps a form of killing?
Informal kind of killing. Not the formal kind of killing. Informal way. So that you'll say now you are going to take vegetables. How much agrochemicals? How much agrochemicals you are using for vegetables? How much damaging the soil and how much this thing happened? So is it also yet another link behind, but informal way. So you can ask, what is the wholesome food in the world? No. So that is why if you are going to go that kind of theoretical kind of thing, and in Sri Lanka there's one person went to Anuradhapura. Anuradhapura is a very ancient city. So he's so tired, so he wanted to sleep. Then he says that by sleeping this way, he is putting the legs to the Chuparame. That's a very sacred place. It's a bad thing to put the legs. So he get up and put the legs to the other side. And then the Lankarame is there. So he can't. And he put to this side, and another Arame is there. And put to this side, another Arame there, so he can't sleep. And when he put leg up there, then the Siluminisaya is there in the heaven. And put the leg down there, the Nagaloka is there, it's a huge... Ultimately, what he did was he keep the hands and sitting on the hand until morning. There is no way of sleeping. Everywhere sacred places. He was so devoted, Barangupasaka Nindavagi. So we have to compromise. Life is a compromise. And the only thing is, do least amount of damage. Don't think about perfection. Don't take the mean advantage of this and try to commit unwanted things. Because you have to pay. So therefore, that is the what. So am I excused to go to the next question?
Quickly, very quickly.
When I walk into the meditation hall, first thing, early morning, I get a flower aroma, smell. The same vase of the flowers remaining all the day and night. I believe this is not the smell of the flower in the vase. I wonder whether certain beings are in the meditation hall during the early hours. I have heard that they come listen to the profound teaching of the previous night and remain. Could I be right? So this is it says that when the meditation going on, you see some or the other either vision, light or lightness or visionary is going to happen, or some kind of sounds going to happen, some kind of smells, some kinds of tastes, and the bodily sensation and thoughts. So this indicates that whenever you are going to give less and less self-impingement during the daytime, the already recorded one is projecting outside. That is how the healing happens, that is how the catharsis happens. So therefore different people going to understand, going to get some kind of a unfamiliar, not unfamiliar, kind of a sensations. So that indicates not the normal way of getting unlimited amount of impingement, sensual impingement, but instead what is in the library shots are now going out. So therefore many attributions can happen. So don't take it seriously whether it's a smell, good or bad. Whether the scenery is auspicious or unauspicious, just understand it is the mind-made game. So that if you are going to take seriously, ultimately you will forget about the mindfulness in in-breath and out-breath and think about this and that. So that is the sole purpose of this kind of perversions. So consider just mere, they are dreams. They are mind-made things.
Bhante, sometimes there's these things are very, mind-blowing. And when you have that maybe you see something which is not, is nimitta or something. And then I found it's very difficult to keep the mindfulness.
Yeah. That
very impossible nearly.
Yeah, that itself, because you get obsessed with that kind of thing, because they are mystic, they are not realistic. Ultimately, some people are much more attracted to that kind of thing. So, must be alarmed when you are specifically when you are doing insight meditation. I like to ask you about how I should live with Yoniso Manasikara. When I see with my eye and beautiful or ugly object, I shall not comment on no. Take it to heart. That is not the way. That is the one of the wrong ways. The Buddha says, even the Buddha going to see a beautiful thing, the mind make the judgment, this is beautiful, this is attractive. So it says the beautiful thing is one thing, the attraction made by the mind is the second thing. The beautiful thing is coming from outside to the to the eye. The attraction, what you feel, is coming from out into out. You have to discriminate them. That's all. Discriminate in-breath versus out-breath. Air come in as in-breath. The same air go out-breath. If you can't discriminate it, you can't go into the vipassana. Likewise, when seeing happens, object appear outside and the mind's projection appear from inside. So you have to understand separately. The moment you understand, it stops its growth. Even to the Buddha it happens. But as and when it happens, he understands. The trainer has to train it. But the other people, they ultimately see both them as attribution of the object. 50% of course attribution of object, other part is your projection. So if you can't separate them out, that is the point, Yoniso Manasikara, Aniso Manasikara. So therefore you have to understand theoretically, and then when and where happens, apply this and see, and then the day you understand it, more than the object you see, seeing seeing mechanism is very beautiful than the object. Seeing mechanism, how these things come together and the seeing happens. So that is why not only seeing the film, one day you have to see how the projector is working. Then you can understand how animation going to take place, how the film is running. Similarly, if I see a pleasant or unpleasant sound, I shall not take it upon myself. So that's you have to read Indriya Bhavana Sutta, 152 in Majjhima Nikaya. This is exactly the way the other person is explaining. My teacher says not to look at the pictures, not to listen. Then Buddha asks, if it is so, born blind is already must be an arahant. The deaf person must be arahant. He says that is not the case. He says seeing is no problem, but the projection is also no problem. Understand the seeing and the projection separately. For that you have to train, then only the Yoniso Manasikara will be implemented. So that is different way, that is the end result of. All the end result is That means you are not going to taken for a ride by what you see here. Instead, at the door, this eye door, ear door, you put the guard, put the mindfulness as the security, and ask them what is happening. This much is coming from out to in, this much is coming from in to out. He has the proper bookkeeping. And then you are safe. In such moment, I shall act with other 4 senses as well. Please explain further. Also, this is so living mindfully. So this is very difficult. That is why Buddha says at the beginning, be mindful, close eyes, no sounds, no taste, no smell, no touch, and only the breath with neutral object. And then go for walking meditation with little bit of sounds and this kind of thing. Try to be. And when you go to the day-to-day activities, the mindfulness is very thin, not sharp, so very difficult to go it. So when under such circumstances, practice as much as possible walking, sitting meditation and gain the mindfulness, and then the mindfulness itself will take care about when you are walking and day-to-day activities. So it's a gradual strategy. Attack one by one. Don't go for the final this thing like seeing, hearing and kind of thing, because seeing and hearing is very, very tricky, very swift. So that is why the establishment of the mindfulness at the body, Kayanupassana, given as the beginning, for the beginners.
One thing, normal living, like not in meditation as such, but day-to-day activities, like you're walking on the road and then you see a beautiful rose, and next time you hear beautiful music coming out of a shop. And so in similar situations, how should we restrain ourselves or take it upon?
The restraining is known as restraining of faculties. So at least it says, when you are seeing or observing, you must understand, I am now a seer. When you are hearing, you must understand, I am a hearer. When you are smelling, you must understand, I am a person smelling. And which is the active faculty. Understanding that itself is a great step forward. So therefore, at least you have to ask to note seeing. So that means you are getting the alarm. Let the mind to say, now the vulnerable door is seeing now. Not the eye, not the nose, not the tongue. When there something happening, engage in the tasting, note it as the tasting. That means the eye is not the basic problem. Now the taste is the problem. So keep the attention there. That is the beginning. That is the starting point to let the mind to know where the direction, where the head is headed into. Noting that, and then you are secured. And when you are seeing, nothing to restrain regarding the hearing, smelling, touching, but you have to fully give attention to the seeing operation. And first and foremost, you have to let the mind knows now I is the vulnerable faculty. Please explain the difference between the Kriya-sita and Pancha Upadana Kanda-sita between Arya Savaka and normal being. The Kriya-sita is the explained in the Abhidharma or commentarial way. That means not committing any kind of good or bad volitions, no volitional actions. And Upadana Kanda means that attachment is there. So they are whatever you see, whatever you hear, you have your impression, you have your value judgment. So therefore, it has some kind of a effect to the next moment or the moment to come, because you are taking a sign. So Kriya-sita means then and there it happens, no signs, no cognition or recognition, no reification. So therefore thing is passing show. So therefore Kriya-sita is that you are writing, no ink in the pen. But you don't know. You keep on writing. But ultimately when you look at, there is no left behind, no scribblings going on. It is like Kriyasita, or you are stitching in the sewing machine, no threads in the bobbin. Stitching like appearing, but ultimately not the sticking together. Likewise, Kriyasita is you know how to restrain seeing at the seeing, not more than that. Hearing, all the other sensation and thinking. So we'll keep it for after the Dhamma talk evening. There are 4 questions. And stop at that 2:30, 1.5 hours time. After the Dhamma talk, we'll take this for the question. So we'll take a break for a tea, and after 1 hour of walking, we'll be meeting here at 4 o'clock. Thank you very much for participation.